Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of the Water Invitational. Whenever my camera works. I'm here. I'm sorry that I did not get to what I wanted to, and that was proper predictions for the first slate of games. I probably wouldn't have done very well because I didn't know two games are going to be forfeited. But here I am, and I'm going to review quickly. We're going to not go super in depth. This is hopefully not going to be like an hour-long video. Maybe it'll be, I don't know. I'm just going to yap as requested. And we're going to go game by game, just talking about it. We're going to go over a couple of stats. We're not going to go too deep into drafts because they are best of one, so there's not a lot of things I'm interested in over the span of a draft. But I am curious to see what kind of things get taken away, right? And what kind of comfort is available for people. All right, and with that being said, we're going to jump right into game of the very first game we're going to talk about, which is Herberus versus Stroh's E-Daters, which, if you saw the predictions video, right, you might be aware that it's maybe the bottom of the table clash. Like, this game might come down to it as being a crucial tiebreaker at the end of it, right? Because these were the projected consensus bottom two teams. So we're gonna kind of scroll out a little bit here. Hold on, let me pause this. It's too stuttery for me. I know it doesn't show on the stream, but I cannot do it like this. I have to put it in full screen, so it's not as jittery for me. Top lane is showing a single brain cell. They all both walk to a brush. Something to note here is that Spoobert is not playing in this game. So Hoovy, who would be the support, Frost also was unavailable to play. So Esex the E-Daters have two substitutes. Hoovy's playing out of position for the tournament purposes. As we see, a little bit of aggressive trading here in the mid lane. Right, and I'm going to keep the timeline on, right, so we can kind of skip around a little bit. We can see what champions kind of got picked here, but I am very curious about this mid lane here. Hoovy misses the chain, but there is a solo kill here shortly. No ignite, so it looks like it's just going to be a full combo as soon as the rotation of spells comes back up. It really is just that simple. Solo kill for Hoovy. But Hoovy on LeBlanc is not something I didn't necessarily expect in the year of our Lord 2025. Or 2026, I should say, actually. That's a mistake on my end. Stroh is going to be the first here to maybe get a little bit of intervention going. Going to catch out the unsuspecting Uglarth on a greedy recall. Or not even a greedy recall, but just buying in shop. So that is a early Dirk completion for Stroh, right? Lee Sin, I haven't seen, right? Obviously, if you're unaware, this is on the first day of the new season, right? So people are going to be like testing things out, feeling things out, right? It's going to be interesting. So Stroh Dirk first recall is very interesting, right? Maybe indexing towards more of a lethality build of sorts, right? But we can go over a couple of things, right? Of course, right, with role quests now being in the game, forget each top laner gets a free teleport, and they both go exhaust in this matchup, which I think is very interesting, because I think Camille is one of those champions that you'd actually like to take advantage of something like Ignite, right? The exhaust makes sense for the Gnar in this matchup in my head, but maybe not necessarily as much for the Camille, right? Even if you dictate it as kind of a somewhat more difficult matchup, as Gummy's going to maybe pick up a play here. Zack's ultimatum is going to come in, the exhaust used, and Sky is just getting walked down here, and with the fleet footwork, Gummy's going to be able to close the gap. Sky does not farm any of that wave, does not have teleport to get back, so Gummy's going to be able to crash that. And that's a pretty big momentum shift in that lane, right? And he did that with some item buys, which Um, bingo sheet referring to Punda's bingo sheet for the live stream yesterday. No bingo was completed, unfortunately, but Sky did run it down. Haven't seen Zenobia get involved just quite yet, and it's been a little bit of a domination here in the bot lane, right? Kaz is the highest elo player in the bot lane on this Sivir, but Uglarth being one of probably the consensus worst players in the tournament, does not inspire hope in like their ability to actually dominate a lane, right? And Lucian Nami being one of those really, really aggressive lanes, but Karma being one of those champions that can actually stand up to it. But Uglarth is kind of like, if there's a champion that Uglarth is known for, it would be in fact his Karma, right? And a little bit a good like counter like absorption of that pressure. They are going to trade 2 for 1, right? They do get something out of it, right? Because Sky probably does not get out of that situation without trading his life, so at least getting a 1 for 1 there isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. But we are going to see a really, really early spike here for this Lee Sin in this Umbral Glaive, as they're not going to be able to get much of anything done. Zenobia does pick up at least the first one. Stro misses the Sonic Wave. The Void Grubs are all going to go over to the other team. Stro is going to be able to steal away the Raptor camp from Zenobia. A couple spells being flung in each direction. A lot of aggressive trading. Flash is burned. Kaz will burn his own flash, as will Stro, but he will fall underneath his own tower. Hoovy, only member in the game with a shutdown. Stro being really, really efficient here, right? And that's kind of what I feel like is going to set Stro apart in a lot of these games, even against the elite level junglers, is that he's not down in camps, right? He's been the more active participant on the map. As we see a nice little bit of trading here in the top lane. Right, this is not gonna be like, I'm not recasting the games, right? These games did get casted. Big ups to our boy Daughterwolf for getting those casted. He is amazing. I highly recommend you go and review the cast on your own time, right? These are kind of just like first live reaction. So I was at work yesterday. I got to see bits and pieces of the games while I was wasn't too busy at work. As we are going to see Stro with a 2-level lead just absolutely eviscerate this Lilia. This item completion doing so much work, getting Stro doing his classic, being just too greedy, doesn't even get the Gromp away, right? But Hoovy does get, looks like probably 2 plates for that, and everything is just going really, really well in basically every lane except for this top lane where Sky is down 15 farm. He's down almost 900 gold, as chains will go wide, and Uglarth is just going to get absolutely eviscerated. Hoovy is going to get a little over aggressive underneath Alouette's tower, and is going to hand over that shutdown. Luden's Echo back to being purple as it should be. Amen. Like, amen. ER back to its heyday, right? Having that sheen on it, right? That's why you're seeing both these carries absolutely love to pick this up. It's a buff for Lucian, it's a buff for Sivir, it's a buff for Zai, it's a buff for literally every AD carry. I love Essence Reaver when it has this, but we do need to kill GP now before he starts becoming the best champion in the game again. It's already happening, I'm pretty sure. Hoovy double dashing in, right, is playing with a lot of confidence in this pick, right, which is I'm very, very happy to see for him, because Hoovy is a very topsy-turvy player, let's say. I do think Hoovy plays far above like his current rank. He just doesn't have the solo queue games to show for it, as Stro's going to go in for another invade, is going to pick up the smite, but Hoovy's going to get the flash distortion, right? Pick it up with the Sigil of Malice. Porta's going to hop over the wall. Good flash from Porta. Exhaust used. Flash Gnar. Sonic Wave. Stro is going to greed and with Lee Sin greed and retake that Q. And they are going to take a pretty clean, I think that ends up being a 1 for 3 in the end. Right? Kaz is going to be able to farm up, get that tower on the bottom side of the map, right? And close in that gold lead. It's only 600 in that bot lane, despite what you might think, right? 2 kills to none, right? Sivir is just not going to spike as hard, right? That is a, it's not an IE second like it's going to be for the Sivir. As Zenobia is going to get a little bit of posture, a little bit aggressively here. Slayer does misposition just that little too much, right? There's a bit of a flank here from the LeBlanc, right? On a control word, isn't seen. The fairy lights do not see him. Is going to get the chain down. Zenobia is going to end up getting the dragon in the end. Stro not able to Q-Smite confirm, right? Oog on the side. Hoovy having a little bit of fun. Down, Sonic Wave misses. Bubble is landed, and Stro's just going to be able to execute Gumi with the Dragon's Rage. Hoovy's going to pick up the exploding plate there in the bot side. And we can see this is a Ravenous Hydra for Stro as well. I think it's just a really high raw AD, right? And the entire enemy team is really, really squishy, right? The only armor purchased thus far is the tabbies on that Gnar, right? But that's not really Stro's job to deal with. So I don't really blame him. He's going like really, really high burst, right? And he's picking up an item that I think needs to receive a lot of changes to really excel in that Mortius. I'm not exactly sure, but Stro is just going to be able to, with a whole bunch of CDR, get it. Is going to trade his life. Good use of the Seeker's Arm Guard from Alouette to get Stro's flash and not anything, like, he doesn't get anything additional in return, right? They do get the mid lane tier 2, but if you were to value a tier 2 tower, mid lane is probably the least valuable. Very nice trading here from the Gnar onto the Camille, right? He is going to get a little bit of assistance here. Oh my lord, Hoovy, if he could just hit literally any chain, it's giving me shades of me in my most recent split of competitive when I just couldn't hit a chain, but I dropped like 12 kills anyways. He could be so much stronger, but that was a really nice outplay from Gumi on the top side, right? Like that goes on Sports Center top 10 moments because it was very, very impressive. But the very nice thing that I think is underrated on specifically the Umbral Glaive is that Lee Sin doesn't get a sweeper because he needs wards to do ward hop stuff, and so this effectively gives him a sweeper, right? Which I think is very, very undervalued. Oh, and we are going to see the completion of our first Diadem of Songs. I'm going to take a peek at this item before anything really kicks off here. For people who aren't informed, it's a new support tier item. When you or any ally you've healed or shielded in the last 60 seconds is in combat with champions, each second heal the lowest health nearby ally champion for 16 health, which is very, very interesting. I think this item is definitely overhyped. I do think it's good, but I don't think it's first purchase, like mandatory first purchase worthy, right? Just like a Muramana isn't for Ezreal or Varus. I think we are picking up its tier a little late here, Uglarth, in the grand scheme of things. But I'm very curious to see how this item performs over time in comparison to things like Redemption, right? Which ended last season in a very, very strong spot. And we'll slow this down, right, for one of like a really bloody looking team fight that appears to be about to happen. Right, we can pull away here so that we can see everything in its great glory. Porta, I just kind of in no man's land, walking up on his own. No mini wave to be spoken of. Flash R is going to be used here. It's going to be Slayer's Flash. He traded in return. The Dragon's Rage used to separate from the team. Stro able to at least get Zenobia down, right? So neither team has access to a jungler for the upcoming dragon that is there. Alouette unfortunately does miss a very close execution onto Slayer that was flashless. Does end up trading her life. Good execution by Hoovy's LeBlanc onto the Gnar that had not built any magic resistance up to this point, right? And so I do think he ends up building a Wit's End fairly soon, but it was a very good assassination from Hoovy to really deny a big momentum swing, right? Stro dying, Porta dying, right? It was effectively like a 3v5 there, right? Alouette getting a little bit too aggressive in between turrets in the enemy jungle. Hoovy is about to return here on to the scene of the previous crime. And it looks like we can speed this back up just a little bit again as this Chem Drake will get taken. Chem Drakes, I think, are very, very underrated. I think they provide a lot more value than you'd think. Uglarth trading chains with Hoovy, Spirit of Ionia versus a godlike creature in LeBlanc, effectively. We see a little bit of that healing action there, right? Oh, and Stro is going to catch Gumi only a little bit underwear. Gumi keeps walking forward, throwing these boomerangs. 9 people here on the top side. Get a tower. Nice flash engage from Gumi. A nice shockwave to follow up over top of that. And the Baron is now accessible for Team Herberus. Hoovy does pick up one assassination on to Uglarth. Stro does end up stealing away the dragon. We gotta slow this down. I apologize. Let's rewatch this back in all its glory. 6,000 HP. Stro gets the Sonic Wave, kicks the Zenobia out of the pit. I don't think Zenobia ever gets back into smite range. No ultimate. Into the 3-man squad. The top side here just absolutely runs amok on the top on this play. The Leandres does end up picking up Hoovy's shutdown, but very, very nice just execution of a steal attempt, right? That was a 4v5, a 3v4, right? Hoovy did not have to use too much to pick up the assassination onto Uglarth, so it made it very, very executable, right? That is like a game deciding play. If you do that and you don't end up getting the Baron, right? You don't end up turning around all those kills. That could have ended in disaster, and this game really could have spiraled out of control, right? It would have closed that goal gap significantly. Actually, it would have given Herberus, I think, the gold lead, right? But the Sivir just has not been allowed to like play a super extended fight. I think the Sivir's going to really struggle in a very high burst game, right? LeBlanc, Lucian, right? Lucian is not really a sustained DPS character. He is more of a burst, right? He's kind of an assassin in a sense. Good dash away from Slayer there. The young buck maybe isn't as old as we thought he was. Good for him in that regard, right? That is something I've seen Slayer get caught out by before, and I don't know if he'd straight up just die, but holy moly, LeBlanc's looking strong this season. If this is how strong it looks in the hands of someone like Hoovy, this is no disrespect to him, but I'd love to see it in the hands of somebody like Indigo, or maybe even Punda, right, in a signature kind of LeBlanc support kind of thing, right? I also would like to see LeBlanc get these Tidecaller's blessings to really make her burst hit even harder. This game does go on for like another 10 minutes somehow, which I'm very curious about, because I mean, it's a very short range game, right? Like, no team really has all that much in the way of range, right? Sivir, very low range AD carry. Lucian also very short range. LeBlanc, short access, or like a short range damage, but a lot of space to access, right? It's very interesting when you have somebody like Orianna, right, who has a decent amount of range, right? She's like a mid-range battle mage, but she just doesn't have like the setup this game, right? It's a lot of this is on exclusively on Gumi's Gnar here to really make a play happen, which is what happened in that top lane play about right before the Baron incident. It was completely winnable at that point. Stro having a little bit of fun on his own in the mid lane while he waits for his team to arrive. The Aqua Prison goes array. A little bit of just hook shot wall dive. Hoovy does come over the wall, does double distortion, does pick up a nice little bit of damage here as the Culling comes out. Doesn't end up felling anybody. But that's Mininar gone. He will get somebody into the wall. Hoovy does trade his life in a shutdown. Like, there's just so many lives being traded left and right. Like, I feel like somewhat unnecessarily, right? Stro and co are going to be able to pick up the dragon here, right? Give themselves this soul, right? Improve that Nami's healing. Improve to the 2 ravenous hydras here between on between the top and jungle, right? And it's just it's a 3k gold lead, but it feels so much worse, right? Zenobia is 3 items, but is not having the impact you'd like to see in these fights, right? Sivir is 4 items, right? Like that's the kind of thing you'd expect, and there is 2 giants built in Sivir's inventory. I don't know if we get to see what item that is in the at the end of the game, but I'm very curious to see because I don't actually know what build path that would be. Like, isn't just like Warmogs or Heartsteel, which I don't think Sivir at 31 minutes is going to be purchasing. Hoovy is just unchecked here on this bottom side of the map. Picks up that bot lane tier 2. Is just going to sit and wait. See what Alouette does besides missing cannons. Only one I've seen so far, to be fair, but we'll see. Slayer about half HP here, but does have the Nami in the back pocket. The Fairy Lights, I think that's what they're called. Vandalites maybe, do reveal a little bit of area with the blue trinket. Stro is just going to Hex Plant right on top of Zenobia, and that Lilia is gone, and it's a 5v4 on the map, 4v4 in presence currently, but there is no jungle. The steal is going to be so much harder. Sivir is going absolutely bonkers. It does spell shield the Dragon's Rage. Gumi does not get the stun on to Slayer there. He's playing with fire here, right? But does have the Hextol or the Chemsoul activated. Slayer is going to dash forward, and Hoovy instead got the bot inhibitor and has moved all the way up. It is going to end up trading his life, right? A very bad sequence of events here, right? They do get a whole bunch of pressure on this bottom of the side of the map, but they completely squandered the opportunity to take this Baron just with a little bit of bad execution, right? And allows Zenobia to come back, respawn, and extend this game time, right? And the gold lead we just saw was like about 3-4k and is now collapsed back inwards back to about 1.5, right? And they will get a lot of this bottom wave, right? The Sivir is going to hoover up even more, and so it is something I suspected a full GA purchase, but on top of that, it is the Protoplasm Harness. Gives you 600 health, 15 haste, which Sivir doesn't mind, but I think it might be, actually, I mean, it's just the CDR from Flicker Blades and ER at this point. Taking damage to reduce your health below 30% causes you to gain 200 maximum health and then heal 600. You get size, MS, and tenacity. That's very interesting. It's like Sterak's in a way. It's like an alternative to Sterak's, but instead of giving you AD, it gives you like some other stats. Okay. You love to see LeBlanc absolutely taking heads. And now this is going to be very difficult. We are seeing some of the effects of some of the role quests now live, right? Level 19 on both the top laners. We're going to see Skye go in here on top of the Sivir. Is going to proc the GA. The GA is going to get Slayer very low. No cleanse in this game, I might add, which is, I think, is very interesting for Lilia Sleep. Or Mikhail's Blessing, which I think is also very interesting. But I think the problem with this fight, besides like the whole getting assassinated thing from Alouette, but I think that's just a LeBlanc thing. It's not Alouette's fault, inherently speaking. Is Gumi's just too disconnected from this fight for something like truly positive to happen there. And Gumi is like their entire front line in this game, and I think was the only way you really stayed in these fights is with Gumi's impact. Hoovy is going to dodge the Orianna Ball, the Shockwave. Is going to be able to teleport back here at the end of the game, and it is going to go in the way of Stroh's E-Daters. The game is going to end here and a very sloppy game, right? It is the first day of the new season. This is likely some players' first games on the new patch. So it is very interesting to see what was built, right? And see if we start to see any tournament specific trends. I don't think I saw a lot of the champions get repeated here. I do think I saw Sivir again from Kaz, which we will see later, I believe. But overall, not a clean game at all from either side. I think both teams had their opportunity to win. I do just think in a very high bursty game, the easier to execute champion, like the easier to execute comp, right? Camille jumping in on somebody specific, LeBlanc not really having any CC to deal with, right? It's basically just as if Nar is mini, you can do whatever the hell you want as LeBlanc this game because there's just who's stopping her. And with that, we can look at the post game stats here. It does have all the items though. Oh, it does have all the items now. Very nice. It's been updated. So we can see this little app here is very nice. You can see all the runes. I can see all the runes, and we can look at stats, right? So we can look at damage dealt to champions, right? And I expect to see, 34,000 here from Hoovy, which I think is very, very big this game. In the grand scheme of things, right? They got more kills, so there was more damage for them. But I think it's just a lot more easy damage to apply, right? Sivir does end up doing the most damage in this game as a whole, right? But I think she was just a large portion of the damage holistically. In those last couple fights, you saw how impactful the Sivir was at this 4 or 5 item mark, right? And if that game had been able to be extended just a little bit longer, we would have really started to see, I think, the point where Sivir has fully surpassed Lelouch, right? Lelouch was still impactful, but not to the degree of the Sivir. So if I was personally going to hand out a game MVP, I think Hoovy played this game absolutely masterfully on LeBlanc. I think you would see similar gameplay styles out of like pro players, like game styles, not execution, right? The chains were inaccurate, but I think the decisions he made in this game were pretty good holistically, and it deserves a high amount of praise, right, from somebody who's consensus just one of the bottom players in the tournament and is currently not currently, but hasn't been ranked past the gold in forever, especially with some very high caliber players in this lobby like Zenobia, like Stro, like Kaz, right? To execute on that kind of level is very impressive. So yeah, I would give the game MVP to Hoovy personally in this scenario. I do think Stro was very, very impactful in the early game because he just had so much more pressure than Zen's Lilia. But I think overall, I think there was a couple of bits of over-aggression from Stro that could have really swung the game in another direction. And that being said, we can move on to the second game of the first time slot that was actually played, which is FCP versus the Tide Callers, which I believe is this game. Obviously, I know you can see the scores here, right? But we're still going to go over it. I need a drink. Excuse me. I'm gonna let it go for a sec. I might edit this. I probably won't. Okay, so, hi chat. of course, minions spawning quicker. I thought I had more time. I totally forgot. Another change to adjust. So this was the other game that was watchable. I don't believe this was this. I believe the first game was the stream game, which I think was the correct decision in the grand scheme of things, because I think we will see these two teams probably clash later on in the season as well. So what do we see here? We see Rect and Pepperoni, I think, is playing one of their best champions here, right? I think the Zac is definitely up there. From what I remember from previous seasons, I think Rect is a very big Amumu enjoyer. I think Rect is a very big Zac enjoyer. Really nice early trading here. Punda forgetting how bot lane works and has to expend the flash at level 1, right? Not knowing timers or something. I don't really know there, but I mean, it's just a very good capitalization from the French Communist Party bot lane. But on the other opposite side, Panda playing something I've never personally seen him play. But for anybody who knows or was around me and Slayer and Prey when we were playing comp together this past year, there was a meme about Prey's Rumble, which was we just couldn't win with it. And we ended up turning that around at the end of the season, right? Like, we never went with it in scrims, but Prey is a decent Rumble, all things considered, and has really liked this pick for a very long while now. Prey historically is a Rumble a Kled one trick, but Prey has very much improved since I initially started playing with him and since he started playing comp. So it's nice to see him get in on the fun here, right, and really be able to test his mettle versus some better competition, right, that he's not going to regularly kind of face in scrims and that kind of stuff. So we're going to try to zoom right through laning phase here. Mac, I don't have a tremendous knowledge base on, but I know that Mac and Indigo are very, very good buddies. So I believe there's going to be like a decent amount of a synergy, like nobody's really going to get left out. Spray is going to be able to overheat here and take a really, really nice tray over Antigua. Right? So, I mean, a much more controlled kind of first couple levels of the game here. And this is one of the coolest matchups of the tournament, right? In this mid lane here between Jacob and Indigo. Probably the two best mid laners we just straight up have in the tournament. On two champs that they're both very, very comfortable on. I'm sure that the Rise was banned away from Jacob, but that's the kind of, like, these two are premier players in this tournament, but in their role, and it's something I'm very, very excited to like witness, right? And I'm not gonna say I'm an expert at mid lane, but I've spent my fair bit of time there recently, and so honest to God, like, if I wanted to do like actual like critical analysis of talent instead of just like content, I would like genuinely like to like watch this lane phase in person. Right, just like, I do know Jacob streamed his POV, so we'll be able to watch it straight up from Jacob's POV, as, I mean, Indigo's reactions there were absolutely stellar here, as we are going to see Feldy get just a little bit too over-aggressive here, right, with Rakan in the mid lane. Maybe he didn't know. But just a little bit too over-aggressive here, right? And a lot of attention's been paid to this mid lane already, right? Both junglers have visited, the support has visited, right? And that's the kind of, like, high-level kind of thing you expect, right? With people like Punda, like Oral, who have played in these, like Indigo, like Jacob, who are competent and capable of playing in these, like, M100 plus leagues, right? Maybe not M100 plus, but, like, they've played in M100, right? They've won tournaments, some of them together, right? And it's just very nice to see, right? Vlad being like a very weak mid laner, I think, just like as a whole. I don't think the champion's weak necessarily, but in terms of a mid laner, right? Orianna's just so dominant, right? And it's only down too far, Amos in the game, I think, is just absolutely exemplary from Indigo. Because we are going to see the Call of the Forge God here, and we are going to see flash for flash trade between Mismatched and Antigua here. And yeah, enough glaze of these mid laners. We are going to see a couple of component completions, right? Maybe helping us understand what kind of direction that each player is trending towards, right? The one I want to talk about first is Rectum Pepperoni, buying an alternator, and then on top of buying a Bombi Cinder, right? So obviously that's going to be one of two items for the Bombies, right? But what item is going to be for the alternator? And I believe it's going to be Rocket Belt, or Proto Belt, as it should be referred to as, oh my lord, just the ball control on this Orianna is just, it is so good. I'm going to continue to glaze here, probably all split along, right? And this is like two of the favorites of the tournament going head to head in week 1, game 1, day 1 of the new patch, right? And we are going to see Feldy return again, the pool being expunged, right? Not going to really be able to interact here as Mac and Punda rotate through the river for some reason. Not exactly sure why, but it ended up biting in the ass quite hard, and is really going to put them behind in a deficit here, right? Indigo is doing his absolute best here in this lane to keep his ground, right, and not to fall too far behind, right? But with Punda's mistake at level 1 in this lane, in their lane phase, right, Feldy just not being able to be impactful in literally any lane. Like, there's been no attention paid to this top lane hardly at all, right? A very decent equalizer, as a very good Poppy ultimate comes through here, as a flash for flash trade will come through. And I mean, it was a beautiful keeper's verdict there from Punda, but it was just not enough. It didn't knock away the damage, right? You would have preferred to probably knock away the Yunara, right? KTL does have to use flash, but it ends up not mattering much in the end, as phase rushes traded. The empowered Q transfusion not going to be able to be used by Indigo, as Feldy is going to pay another visit to the mid lane, use the Cataclysm, and draw a couple cooldowns. Punda is going to be able to come in here as the quickness also arrives. Mac is just going to get brought down here, as a very beautiful sequence of events. Let's just watch that back again, right? These stretching strikes from Wrecked, just absolutely masterful, being able to weave that Q right around Indigo to hit Feldy and grab Indigo while he's still in melee range. Really good stuff, and it's what you like to see, right? Especially from, right, just being able to understand their assignment, right? And Prey's hitting tab and is like, what the hell is going on, guys? Top lane experience 101. And as you can see, this game kind of goes from bad to worse, right? There's going to be a lot less to look at here. And to be honest, Antigua has done their job here this game. They've taken the little bit of pressure they've received and not done too bad, right? They're only down about 10 farm in lane, right? Not even 2 full waves. So they've done their job, right? And with the completion of the Volcanic Rickern, will be able to stand toe-to-toe with this Ornn more than likely. So it's going to have to take a pretty big miracle here from the Wizards of the Coast to do something in this game. And I'm just waiting to see what moment they decide that is. As a dive was being set up on the bot lane, and Jacob just said no, sir, as Mac walked just a little too far forward there. Nice shockwave right on the edge of the range, and a nice kill on Indigo there, right? Quickness coming in from behind as KTL was doing a very nice little thing. Shutdown is going to go over to probably the character you want it least on in this game, considering they're not skyrocketed ahead in this Poppy, as we are going to see our first actually interesting new item completion is the Fiend Hunter Bolts. 25 crit, 4% move speed, 40% attack speed, gives ability haste, right? There was that point of last season where Zeri and a couple of other characters were kind of just building experimental hexplate. This kind of replaces that for them. Gives them crit, is a zeal item, very nice. Prey just not able to stay on top of Jacob there, right? Very nice peel from Rect. And this game is effectively over, but we'll watch it all the way through, right? It is an 8k gold lead at 18 minutes. And none of the kills are on the two people you want, are on the two worst people on the team to have them, basically. But yes, this Venerable, like, KTL's 3 items at 18 minutes. That is absolutely filthy. Oh my god, what a... I mean, Rect is just putting on a Zach clinic. I mean, that was... Hold on, you gotta give credit where it's due. Hold on. I need everybody to watch this back. This was... Watch what Rect does here, right? Lands the first part of stretching shots. Protobelts to the tower that hasn't died yet. It would have been super dope if Rect hadn't have had to use the passive there. But wow. It's just like... It's nice to see, right? People, right? Rect is the lowest ranked player on their team. But even still, it's just nice to see... Just like somebody who's playing their champion really get to succeed. Flash expunge from Indigo here, right? Stretching strikes, let's bounce all over the place. Panda, or sorry, not Panda. Indigo does end up getting the shutdown on KTL, right? And this is like a very nice thing that we're seeing here, right? I don't think they're going to be able to pick up this kill. Oh, maybe they are. Indigo dies to the tower. Good knockup, but Oral... A little bit of emo spin from Antigua. They're going to try to dive this. It does fall somewhat low into lethal range, more than likely, but it's just like you're losing so much on this bottom side right now, right? And Feldy's back gets stopped. It's just a misery compiler at this point. Panda, or sorry, not Panda, Oral and Jacob just being able to do whatever they want. Another recall stopped. A Molten Fissure does end up taking down the Ornn, or not the Ornn, the Aphelios. Oh my god, Grass. Oh dear, this Ornn is 5-1 now. Didn't have any armor, really, except for the tabbies there, right? That Canic Shield, like, he had way less EHP than you'd think he would, because it was a magic damage shield. What the Capachungus, indeed. And we're going to go back to speeding this up, right? Towers are going to fall, objectives are going to fall kind of in sequence here. They kind of just got to wait for Indigo's cooldowns to be back up again. Panda is going to get caught out here once again. Just not really having the effect on this game that you'd like to have, right? When you pick a Poppy, you try to be... I saw this live and I felt so bad for Feldy. Just put into the bounce house, put in a place where the sun don't shine, right? Just a cataclysmic, pardon the pun, turn of events there, right? Vlad is 2 items, upgraded boots here, right? Like a very strong spike for Vlad. We gave our Ornn upgrade. Oh, to be fair, the Horizon Focus and the Kraken Slayer have already both been upgraded as well. So I shouldn't be saying much. He is level 16. God, this Ornn's going to be unholy if this game actually goes any far. But yeah, Mac is still 1.5 items. KTL is almost at 3. They're going to send it quite hard onto Antigua here. They are going to use literally every cooldown in the book to pick this up. Is going to flash away, isn't going to pick it up, does get the shutdown. Massive shockwave from Jacob. Holy moly. And the cavalry does finally arrive. I mean, Oral's Rakan has been very pretty to watch this game, outside of a few like just missed grand entrances. But everybody gets a couple whiffs, right? You can't hit them all. But just every cooldown used to kill a Ornn. We did have a shutdown, right? Does go to Indigo, right? The best player that you wanted to have, right? You want to put the game in his hands at this point, right? And give him the best chance to succeed and buy time for Mac to really come back into this game. And is that the new art for Bloodletter's Curse? It looks like it's the same stats, maybe a little bit more AP, maybe it's plus 5 AP, I think. Passive looks mostly the same, but it is a 11,500 gold lead, right? We are going to drop the equalizer to buy some space. I never zoomed out. That's why this game has looked so horrible. Hold on, let's watch this back. Okay, hold on, let's so we can watch this in all its glory. Sorry, I'm out of practice. We are going to go in under the tower. The steadfast presence is going to stop the initial engage from the Zach. The Let's Bounce is going to come through. Rakan dashing all over the place. The Ornn is knocked completely out of the fight. Jacob is very, very low mana here. Indigo is going to pick up the shutdown and blow 2 flashes on the bot lane of the FCP. They are going to lose 2 members, and they're going to buy themselves a little bit of time here, but they do have a full HP Ornn to deal with. He's going to walk up and get the 3 autos because Demolish has been changed. Do towers still respawn? Because I don't know if that'll be worth it in the end, if that's the case. But we'll watch this last fight of the game cleanly, and we'll let it set up naturally. I mean, they took a little bit of an aggressive angle there, right? The engage did get shut down exactly how you'd expect it to, right? By this Poppy doing exactly what the entire premise of Poppy into Zac is, right? Shut down the Elastic Slingshot with the Steadfast Presence and deny anything from really happening here, right? Like, I've praised Jacob endlessly in this game. I also want to praise KTL for playing a very, very clean game, right? Is taking what they've been given, right, and just executed a very, very clean game, right? Is 4 full items on this here, right, and has, I mean, just like exponentially outperformed Mac, but I feel like it's just a little bit of Mac's lack of knowledge on positioning, right, and maybe not being assisted as much by his team that he needs to truly succeed, right, especially with how hard of a lane Indigo had to suffer through to even come out even close to remotely even, which he did. So a little bit of positioning mishaps from Mac really set him behind this game. So it's up to see how they can really recover. Indigo is like as strong as you need him to be at this point, right? Death cap completed, 3 full items, 7 stack Dark Seal, right? If ideally, like you get a Medjai's here before this next fight really kicks off to give yourself the best opportunity to come back into this game, right? The Equalizer is going to be used to thin the wave, is not going to be able to stop it before the tower goes down. Feldy is going to get denied the Demolition standard. 2 kills over to the Ornn. Oral is going to knock up Punda here. KTL is going to fall very, very low here. No exhaust, but Indigo is going to be felled. The game is over here, right? I mean, it's a valiant effort here towards the end of the game. For them, they just kind of put themselves in the position to win it right at the end of the game. Good for Prey. I think Prey played a very, very clean game. I think just the rest of the map collapsed around him. I think he played lane phase completely fine and did exactly what you needed him to. But I do think, like, just Feldy not being able to execute anything in the early game, right? Rekt kind of held all the control the entire game, right? Very interesting lane that I would love to just go dissect another time. And if you want to hear me yap about players who are better than me, then in lane phase and know more, I'd love to do that. Or if you guys want to see maybe content about me interviewing them about their lane phase and how they play it and that kind of stuff, that could be something to consider as well. Not much else to say about this game. A couple of performances I'd like to praise, and a couple that I think we need to see a little bit more from a couple of players. Of course, there would be 6 games today, but there's only 4 because Cancun on 3 were supposed to play 2 games today and played in neither, so they forfeited both of them. So the next game we're going to watch is 2 teams we've already seen. We're going to watch the French Communist Party, and we're going to watch Herberus, which is this game here. Elterwood Alistar, when did that become a skin? That's not real, is it? I didn't know if it was. I just know now. 6, 7. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. I will not do it. And you guys need help. Children, all of you. All of you. As we are going to see Alouette walk up here into a Alistar headbutt. The minions are spawned. This is really bad for Alouette. Is going to start this lane phase at below half HP, which is quite disastrous, all things considered. Like, there's not much you'd want to be. This is not one of them. The second time for Gumi playing against Camille tonight. Unlucky for him. Not a champion that you necessarily like laning, and anyone likes laning against. As KTL also piloting the Yunar for the second time. And I think that's... and Kaz, again, piloting this Sivir. Sivir and Alistar, historically not great matchup because you can't spell shield to help him pulverize if you are the target of the headbutt. As we are going to see a flash headbutt pulve, as we are going to see also an exhaust come out to slow the movement speed. So 2 sums for 2 sums, but one is on the AD carry, one's on the support. So which one would you rather see? But it's, again, the FCP really dominating this early lane phase, especially in the bot lane. This level 2 spikes just not being respected. Alouette slowly working her way back into this lane phase from the terrible start that she suffered. Out of cause of trying to ward for her jungler, I would have to assume, and didn't even get that ward down, right? KTL actually down farm Tisk in this matchup. Jacob is going to be able to get this nice flash from Alouette to avoid taking lethal damage. And then trades 1 for 1, but the wave does crash into the tower. That is probably worth for Jacob in the grand scheme of things. Alouette not going to TP. The minions are not under the tower. In a pretty tame lane in the top lane, as you expect of Shen Camille, right? Shen just kind of shuts down everything that Camille really wants to do. And there's going to be more action in the mid lane. Uglarth really taking these shots. Gumi taunt in, and that's what I was saying, guys. If you go back to me talking about Gumi in top lane, right? He is good enough, right? He is very much able to compete with these players. I think he probably sat too long in the draft, to be completely honest, right? Is going to take a little bit of damage and a very nice Hex Flash over the Super Mega Fireball to pick up the kill onto Uglarth, and then the just follow-up damage is enough to take Kaz. No Ignite here for Antigua, as Gumi is trying to farm safely under tower. Wrecked here, lingering over the wall with a ward, is going to be able to smite it away. And it's going to be just a simple smite win for Wrecked. Is currently just down farm. Oh, very nice Super Ultra Mega Ankara Messi. As we are just going to see an all-in here, and it's going to be enough damage, right? The knockup did get channeled, at least, onto Kaz, even though the Ankara Messi was able to knock him away. So, not the greatest of things, as we are going to see an all-in here flash away, right? That is a true, like, there is no way to avoid the Galio ult without flashing there, right? Especially if it's better coordinated, then there's no way to dodge it, even with flash. As we are going to see the Shen ult come in on top. It is going to be cancelled by the hookshot wall dive, and Zenobia is going to do his best to pick up the kill onto Erect, but is going to get taken down by the tower. The Shen ult never coming through because the hookshot wall dive does cost Antigua a little bit of pressure there, but Oral also flashing to confirm that kill, as we're going to just use the Ascended form from KTL to put a little bit of pressure down. Both AD carries buying call because they realized the supports are never going to be here again. Oral loving his roaming timers, but the first dragon of the game is looking like it's going to go the way of Herberus. KTL is just going to get run at, and the third shot of the Needlework is just going to be able to take him out. The Breath of Life is going to be there, and I mean, Rect is in between a rock and a hard place there. And very nice dodge on the skill shot from the Sivir by Oral and then Uklarth. I'm sorry, brother. That was painful. I honestly, I respect it. And then KTL picks up Kaz on the backside. Gumi does trade 1-for-1. Is now, all I'm saying is 2-for-2 versus Camille tonight in solo kills. Despite being down 15 or so farm, that's a win because solo kills are all that matter. True. So good shit, Gumi is going to get his recall canceled. So not going to be able to spend that gold yet. But how broken are Tabbies? Damocles is going to be here, going to get all 3 shots of the Needlework out. And Tigua is going to fall again and hand over the 3rd kill of her game to the Gwen. Which, Gwen is a very scary champion. I'm not exactly sure. She looked like she might have been one of the biggest beneficiaries of one of the new items, the Dusker Dawn item, or whatever it is. As we just see Lilia being a deer prancing around. Lux is going to be able to cancel the recall. It's going to have to flash from a second set of Winds of War in this game to stop that. And the Winds of War are going to be able to pick up Alouette as she's channeling the final spark. The Lux versus Galileo matchup going probably how you expect it to go in the canon if like, I don't know, Silas corrupted Lux to the dark side. Like, I don't know. And Gumi's just absolutely smashing Antigua here, as we're going to get a Ghost, Needlework, Exhaust expended, headbutted away, and the last shot of the Needlework is not going to be able to hit Oral, and it's not going to slow him down, but he will end up having to expend the Flash in the end. I mean, you just look at it, and it's 7 kills combined between Oral and Jacob. The Galio is an influential pick and can do a significant chunk of damage, right? And will take very little damage from the mid jungle of Herberus, but this Sivir is going to be a big problem as the game goes on, right? Unless the Alistar can consistently do what he needs to, and the hookshot wall dive not going to actually connect with the wall, as it's a 2-level lead in the mid lane. Alouette is going to be bullied out of this fight. The Arrow's Entry is going to come in, flash forward. Damocles is going to get away ever so slowly, and KTL is going to be able to pick up that kill on the other side of the fight. No mana here for Alouette, but is going to pick up a kill on Erect on the back side of the fight that I did not necessarily see, and they are going to sit in this brush, right? Use KTL as bait. A Hex Flash behind, big hero Justice Punch and Taunt, a triple kill for KTL, and that looks like that might be the dagger in this game. KTL now 4-1, does actually rush a different item this game, I believe. I don't believe it was Kraken Slayer the last time around. I could be wholly incorrect there, but I'd have to double check in that regard. Jacob in mid lane getting caught trying to take this tower down, is going to be able to just walk this out without the expenditure of flash. The final spark is going to drop KTL very low. Exhaust is going to make it so the Gwen does not have enough movement speed to kill KTL. Oral is, for his heroics, is going to go down, as we are going to see Gumi go forward just a little too aggressively here and fall. That is a cheating point to Rect and Pepperoni. Rect is going to flash forward and just pick up with the Little Ting Lullaby kill in the enemy jungle onto the enemy jungler. Right, steal away that red buff. The Dusk, then there's the item of the hour. Right, everybody's trying to figure out who can actually build this item. The Dusk and Dawn with it. The Shen is going to have the Shadow Assault to get away. KTL is going to dash away, is going to fall, hand over a pretty hefty shutdown, or it's not as big as you think it'd be, but it's 600 gold-ish, over to the Gwen, who will say, again, time and time again, not the person you want to be seeing the gold on. Oral just absolutely making Kaz's life completely miserable. Basically solo kills him as Rekt just picks up 2 kills in mid lane when there's nothing to fight over because we're fighting for nothing. Justice Heroes landing a nice little dodge there from Uglarth, but it's not going to be enough to have him escape fully. As basically I just watched the second coming of the U.S. bombing Venezuela right there with the Galileo hero entrance, and then getting chased down by a mechanical lady. This game is slowly falling apart. Barrier is expended from KTL to deny a little bit of damage on the final spark, as Gumi is going to Shadow Assault forward. Kaz is going to use the On the Hunt to give his team a little bit of movement speed. Gwen getting a little bit too excited here, and that's what's going to end their fight, is Gwen just not playing the fight nearly patiently enough, right? And Rekt is going to be able to slowly just, after kind of a slow early game and a little bit of a couple miscues, right? Since dying and getting picked off at the back side of that dragon fight has been absolutely clinical. All right, in 2 straight games, we've seen Rekt really succeed and excel in their role within the team, right? Jacob not necessarily on as hard of a carry pick this game, right? And they're letting Rekt have his time to shine. Missed combo, maybe, I think, from Oral there, as we are going to see the Justice Punch come down. Very nice. It's going to be Kaz, going to be the only person really able to do damage here, as the Boomerang Blade goes through one way, comes back the other, but the only person falling is going to be the Lux. Kaz very cautious of the taunt, and I don't know where Gumi is. Gumi died at some point, just now, I guess, in that fight, and Antigua just gets to take bit by bit of the base of Cerberus, and the map slowly falls apart more and more. It's now 10,000 gold lead, right? This is like just not what you want to see, and Rekt is just strong enough, right? 3 full items that can be able to face tank this Baron straight up, and it's going to be up to Zenobia to take this Baron. It's just going to get distracted by Oral. Oral's going to be able to come back on the backside of this fight, get a very massive, oh my lord, watch Oral make his entrance back into this fight, right? He does his job absolutely immaculately. He should, honest to God, fall, but he just buys enough time. He turns around, starts to channel his recall, and realizes there's a fight still going. Gumi is here, but watch at the backside of this fight, a very beautiful 4-man combo, and on top of that, we just get Rekt following all that up with another piece of layers. You see, getting a very nice lilting lullaby, as otherwise just going to buy as much time as they can for their team to respawn, and that's going to be the game. Just one more look at that to truly give Oral his flowers there. Just we need to watch it fully, because this is beautiful, right? Even if you're 1 HP, you can still make a very massive play happen, right? They have no IDs coming. They have to assume he's recalling. It's just good enough, right? It buys them just enough time to buy enough space for Rekt to really make everything count. And I'm gonna say it. Melio needs cleanse. If you're gonna, like, if it's an AoE kind of cleansing thing, right? Like the Lilia, Melio needs cleanse so that he can cleanse his whole team. And I think everybody should know that by now, and no one does it, and it doesn't make any sense. I mean, much cleaner. It's probably the cleanest game, or actually no, their last game was very, very clean. But I mean, very well played from the French Communist Party. I do think so far, if there is sort of an area of weakness, it's been, I say weakness, right? I mean, he had a very good Ornn game last game, but Antigua not having the greatest time. It is not a easy lane for sure into the Shen as the Camille, right? But not nearly as impactful as you maybe would hope them to be in terms of just skill to like performance. Performed very, very well. Absorbed a decent amount of pressure in like the second half of the Oran game, right? But maybe that's where you kind of have to attack the FCP is right. And we also really haven't seen Rect uncomfortable. Rect has kind of been able to play things that they're comfortable with. I understand that you have to deny Oral his champs, you have to deny Jacob his champs, right? And as the series goes on, it may get easier and easier to be able to not target the best players as much, right? Because things will slowly get eliminated, right? Rex Lilia will leave, Rex Zach will exit the pool of available champions, right? Things like that. And if a team can push them deep into a series, right, is that where the FCP really starts to falter, right? Which is not going to be a problem in the best of one phase, right? And that's why I think they were kind of consensus voted the best team for the best of one stage. And then we're going to go into our last game of the night here, which is this game here between the Wizards of the Coast and the Tidecallers. So the first time we are seeing the Tidecallers tonight. Hand leveled account. What the fuck? How do you get that title? I didn't know that was a thing. Good job, Water. I'm proud of you. Only honorable summoners in your invitational, such as yourself. And so now we get to observe a couple of things. Swain, this champion has been mega hyped up by a couple of people, and I've seen the statistics do in fact back it up, right? It's not a false thing. There's validity to it, right? This champion can probably unironically be played in 4 roles right now: top, mid, bot lane, and support. Why does Punda have 175 levels of mastery on Pike? That is disease. You need help, good sir. And that's not because you play Roblox. That's a different problem. Targ also is a very hot topic of conversation currently. And there's a lot of really easy setup for Smize this game on this Targ. And I've done a little bit of like glad planing for him, a little bit of hopium, right? Didn't get to have a tremendous amount of fun in the last Water Invitational, but on a team that should be projected a little bit better, doing a little bit more. And this is the 3rd Camille of the night, right? And it's the 3rd summoner spell combination we've seen. In the first game we saw Exhaust Flash, the second game we saw TP Ignite, and the 3rd game we are seeing Ignite Flash, which I think it should likely be Camille's default. But we did get to see some absolutely vintage picks here. We have what I was very surprised to see as Mac flashes forward, lethal tempo 2v2 kill for Mac and Punda, and they are going to get another person involved here, and Arcana is going to be able to sneak away, but it is a 2v2 kill. And let's why not? I said it wasn't going to be an hour-long video. I was wrong, okay? Well, we can go back all the way here. All right. So let's watch exactly what happened, right? I'll get to my Tarek point in a second. That is not water. The Dazzle does miss. The bomb is used. My God, the spectral step, the Pike E is sidestepped by water. But now water has no cooldowns. No jump, I think, is the important one. Surprised water doesn't have jump in this matchup specifically. And it's just a straight up 2v2. Like, there's nothing to say about it. Feldy's here first, right? Ivern with that absolutely insane clear speed gets down to this first. The root collar does get Pike, Maokai all tied up so that he can't actually affect the play as hard as he might have wanted to, right? Maybe try to get Smize out, let them have a good flash opportunity, which doesn't end up happening. And now Mac is accelerated into a much better spot than he was at any point in their first matchup. um, which is very, very nice. And we saw Instrument trading very, very well onto this Swain champion early in the lane phase, but since, I mean, it's completely swung the other way, right? And now we're gonna see a little bit of fun here as Pike is kind of expecting it. Indigo will have to flash because Smize trades flash. I mean, it's very nice from Punda to be there just in time. Star is going to be able to use the Justice Punch to create enough space to get away. All right, let's get back to the Taric thing, right? Taric with Camille will provide much easier stuns. Taric with Maokai, right? Point and click CC, right? And as the Maokai is traveling in the side of the Twisted Advance, right? You channel the Dazzle, you root, you stun, right? Justice Punch, right? Gives you a little bit more range, right? If you're not quite in range for the Justice Punch to hit, right? Back up, forward, and then the Dazzle will be nice in range there, right? A lot of setup for this Taric this game, right? It's kind of like a Taric's wet dream. Honest to God, as Punda is going to throw a hook. I don't even think I don't even think Narnia saw that one. I think that was in the Neverland. I think has to be. As Instrument is going to get this wave under. Let's talk about some classic picks here. Water Tristana. Classic. We saw Water play this in top lane a couple of times invitational and do or die games. And also just is one of Water's better champions. And then across the lane from him is Pike's Punda's... I'm tired. Punda's Pike, right? I alluded to it earlier, like 100 and some unholy number of mastery levels. What is going... What... That was an exchange of spells that I just observed. I drink. Alright, and you can see that with the Tristana jump, something like that can occur. And Tristana is a very Malphite-like champion. You go in, you either kill everybody one by one with resets, or you go in, you die, and everybody laughs at you. And so far, we are currently doing the latter. Because that was an interesting decision from Water. And by interesting decision, I mean unlucky, because Feldy was there again. But it is on the timer that Feldy would be there, because that's how jungle camps work. And then, last but not least, I kind of want to say, is Feldy's Ivern. This was kind of, as the tournament developed last year, alright, we saw Feldy on his cover picks, right? We saw Ivern, we saw Echo, we saw a couple of things, right? And this became kind of his, like, okay, wait, he's good at this champion, but he can also win on it, right? We watched him multiple times get leads on something like Echo and then just absolutely run it down for the rest of the game. That did not ever happen on Ivern, really, right? Ivern is completely team reliant. Like, you can't win a game on your own as Ivern, as, I mean, just observe. The hook shot does not end up hitting the wall, which costs Instrument the opportunity to even pick up a return kill there, which sucks. But I mean, the flash heal from Spellbook Ivern, like, is all you need to see, right? And this game already looks kind of doomed, right? It's only a 2,000 gold lead, but Varus is 3-0. Your Camille just lost her all-in window, right? Used Ignite, used ulti, used Flash there, right? Is not gonna have a decent chunk of time now where she's gonna be much stronger than Swain. So, right, and other lanes are just getting involved everywhere. Right, Punda's already back into this bot lane. Feldy is going to spot the ward being placed down by Star Burrito, who I haven't had the opportunity to talk about just yet. As we have a trade in the bot lane happening, but that's the thing though, is our cleanse is just used a little too late, and Mac gets 100 to 0'd. Indigo takes Star down with a QW from downtown. right? And that's the thing about Tristana. It doesn't matter how not fed she is. If you are all inable, she can kill you, right? So now Panda's going to do his best job to pick up as much of the scraps as he can there, right? And now, like, the kill went to Tark, unfortunately. But Tark's not the worst champion to get going on, right? Especially, I think something that needs to be said, generally speaking, is that supports with gold early allows them to, like, intentionally give you stuff later because they'll already have their item breakpoints, right? Like, more than they already do, I mean. Right. If your Soraka starts through the game 3-0 and has Redemption or Arden or that new item 10 minutes into the game, you're so happy, right? Because like it's everything you could ever want at that point, right? You're going to be stronger because they are stronger, right? Especially considering Enchanters is supposed to be weak early and be tremendous late game scaling monsters, right? Just like if who's like a tremendous, like if a Kaisa gets a lead early, right, she can take over a game, right? The same thing applies to Enchanter champions, right? And Targ being mostly an Enchanter, not as much as an engaged support, it does show. A Star is getting a nice bit of trading here, but the only thing about Star in this game so far is Star is just so far down on experience that she's down already in a vacuum 1100 gold from 30 farm. Also, please let me know. I've been using specific gender pronouns. If I use the wrong pronouns for you, I apologize. Please let me know if you have not alternative pronouns. That seems mean. If you have pronouns you prefer, what your preferred pronouns are, because that's like a normal human thing to do. And I can do that. So, with that being said, and out of the way, why am I on 1x speed? I'm going to be here forever. I can't wait for the 6 game reviews when they actually happen, if they actually happen. And of course I did that, and like immediately a fight breaks out. Like, that was not the most infuriating thing. Like, I could like looked at the timeline, like, because that's the thing I can do, right? Like, I actively have the ability to look at the timeline there that I have up intentionally for this purpose, and then I didn't, and I use it as Punda does hook Smize away from the ability to stun up the people that would have been in the Star Burrito ultimate that is about to arrive. Punda, I should also say, like, there's just I mentioned all these iconic picks, and then they all like didn't have amazing games. I'll be honest, right? Water did not have an amazing game, getting solo killed here, right? Punda, towards the end of the game, right? If you're a casual box score enjoyer, as CBSE, as my goat MMG likes to say, you'd think Punda had a good game. Punda's game was not amazing. Punda was just in the right place, right, which is half the battle of being a support. But it doesn't mean, mechanically speaking, he had a great game. Which I think he would agree to, in my opinion. And I think most people would, that if you watched this game in a vacuum, you wouldn't think it was that good. This is like the third time I've watched a Camille all in somebody returning to lane instead of farming the minions under their tower. And this is the first time it ended up actually in them getting the kill, which made it kind of worth it, but also still not really, because they missed a lot of gold on the other side, like, as well. I don't know what happened to Varus builds necessarily this patch, right? I haven't gotten a chance to do a full deep dive on items, right? I haven't looked at that much in terms of stats, right? Just a couple things I've heard here and there. Right? I've actually been degenerating TFT because I can play it at work. As we do see Smize get caught out here with nobody around. And I can go back to 2x speed. But yeah, iconic picks just not looking good. Outside of Feldy. Feldy's having an amazing game so far. But I'm curious to see how this game kind of evolves, right? Because we do see in the feed later on that it gets kind of kill happy, right? A lot of fights kind of happening on somewhat regular intervals, right? As somebody who we haven't really gotten to talk about quite all that much is Mismatched or Prey. Prey, playing a Swain, not something I know Prey for playing, and think they just picked it because they can. I don't know, right? I don't know Prey's experience. Prey, if you'd love to tell me how much experience you have on playing Swain top, I'd be curious to hear. Because the champion is seemingly strong. Flash was burned. Flash was burned again. But Redemption comes in and doesn't actually end up healing anybody. Mac flashes in fear for his life. I'm not even sure that he loses that. He has full Bork completed to just Dirk. Like, I get it is Tristana. It's like better to be safe than sorry. But Mac, just have some confidence, brother. I believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. Okay, Mac? You got this. What? Very nice little mechanic there from Feldy, clearing camps a little bit faster. Didn't get to watch Feldy's clear all too much because I'm watching it on 2x speed. As we are going to see Redemption come down yet again, and it's just going to be too much. Like, there's just too much healing between the Swain and the Ivern Redemption and the shield. Like, there's just too much. And Feldy picks up 2 kills for himself, right? Darksteel stacks. We do enjoy those, of course. So we're just kind of waiting for, like, the big event to happen, right? It feels like just nothing. Like, that fight on the top side looked like it was going to be really, really influential, but in the end, I don't think it was as crazy as you thought it would be. Nice sidestep on the Chains of Corruption from Water, as he knows he has the support of the Galio behind. But they do get 2 in trade. They get 2 trades and a flash, but they do lose. They do also get a tower and top. Right, so this is a very nice play as a whole, right? They do lose their mid tower. Right, Prey does end up picking that up. But they do get a decent return, but they do, their tempo is offset, and they are, and by they, I mean, Wizards of the Coast are going to be able to pick up, the dragon kind of for free, like, on their tempo, right? They knew all of the Tide Callers, kind of, or Tide Weavers, I don't remember. I keep messing it up, I'm pretty sure. It's whatever one I don't think it is. They just haven't, like, they were just off tempo, right? It was a really good dragon take by Feldy and crew. Now we're seeing an item that I wanted to talk about a little bit. It was built a couple other times, but now I actually have, like, a kind of time to build it. This is Bandle Pipes. If this stacks, I can see why multiple people would build it. However, I'm also not 100% sure that this item stacks. I'd have to test it. It's just, it looks so broken. Like, I look at this and I'm like, wow, that's literally the best item of all time. I can't wait to build it every single game. Right? Much like I build Locket and Redemption basically every single game. As we are going to see an all-in here from Instrument, and is going to be able to pick up the solo kill on to Indigo, pick up that shutdown. Doesn't give over shutdown in return, does give them extra gold because of Pike's ultimate passive. Feldy is going to get caught out. Tree on tree violence. Just a nice little bits of movement right here. A little micro, like, kind of stutter steps on these Punda hooks. Harpoons. I just realized that my music stopped because the playlist was, like, only, like, a 1 hour thing. And so now you guys have just been hearing me out. Like, you guys went from hearing hard bass constantly behind me to nothing at all, and that might be off-putting. And I'm sorry. It will happen again. Probably. And I don't want to miss out on the action, because the last time I tried to speed up and, like, look away, like, stuff happened, and I almost missed it. What the fuck? Umbro sucks now. Does it? Ballistic is pretty good personally, but I don't. Does it get less lethality? It's 18. That's nice. This is yapping out of his gourd. Oh my god, it's not on directed camera because I moved my mouth. Hold on. We gotta set the battle lines. Make it all nice and pretty. Harpoon lands. A couple follow-ups you see. Does not. Hookshot forward is going to get feared mid-dive. And we're not going to have anything land just in time. Mac's going to get to free auto in the back. We're going to weave spells over top from Indigo. And Sky is going to be the only survivor for the Tidecallers. And it's just an absolute massacre. Everything that could have kind of gone wrong there for the Tidecallers went wrong, right? The Camille engage was snuffed, right? And so it didn't, like the Galio entrance over top of it wasn't clean. Okay, so can't believe my mom is the reason why I'm gonna have to fucking edit something, because I don't know how long it is in the recording, but it was at least probably like a half hour where I just appeared. So it's gonna look really funny. I'm gonna also have to find a good place to cut when she came downstairs to say hello. Which is unfortunate. But now I have a protein coffee, which makes me happy. Yippee! So let's continue in this game that is approaching a do or die state. It is now soul point. It is not soul point. It is soul point for the Cloud Dragon spawning in 4.5 minutes time. As teleports are being channeled by both sides and the red team. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Let's wrap it up. Dawn course completed. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. Prey is just pushing down their throat. Punda. Getting completely caught out. Handing over 800 gold shutdown. Five versus 3. Can they kill anybody? We only got a 2-man tower cult. And the entire rest of the team arrived. Indigo lives. Wow. Wow. Okay. I'm speechless that Indigo somehow does not die there. I mean, well played to the team for collapsing on top of that as soon as they could. Panda almost getting caught out again. Almost losing your team the game twice within 90 seconds is pretty impressive, I'll be honest. And it just looks like the kills are going to be so intermittent for the rest of this game. It's very interesting. I mean, both AD carries are 3 items now. One of our mages is almost 4. Ivern is almost full of items. We have not executed the Camille Galio combo correctly once in a while. Feldy is in the pit on his own with no help. No way out, no flash, no bitches, no hose, like... So now they give over the opportunity to get kill soul. Maokai is very, very low. Would die to just a pike alt execute. That is not up. Indigo just snipes water in the pit. What? Okay, I did watch this live, and I was shell shocked. But like, just how do they fumble this setup so hard? Water's like over 1,000 HP. That is a pure burn. Is Water's front line gonna walk up? Or we just don't feel like it. Like, Indigo is not full, like, is like less than a third mana. They actually just can't walk up. They low-key just got Aura Farm done. Like, legitimately low-key. And Panda just hands over another shutdown. Alright. Cool. Cloud Soul goes over the way of, what are they called? Not the Tide Callers. Wizards of the Coast. Patent pending. Not actually, because Wizards of the Coast is a real thing. I have to assume they play D&D together, like Mac and Indigo. I think Indigo DMs. Okay, I could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong. Instrument, walking up, getting a nice little chunk there onto Feldy. Is in the middle of 3 people right now. Can he use the Precision Protocol to get a little bit of speed? The Dazzle's going to do a good job of dissuading, but Des Maw is going to do a good job. He's not going to Instrument is not going to suffer too much longer, and Mismatched is going to go down before he can really get the Demonic Ascension going. Water is free firing on the side. He's going to keep autoing, gets hit by exactly 1 spell and just absolutely explodes, and Punda's going to be able to go absolutely ape shit from below. 2 people are alive. It's Instrument and Smize. Baron is up and alive. Camille is full HP. But Daisy is alive for a little bit longer. Camille doesn't have Smite ability, right? And the Precision Protocol is not going to give her enough damage to out-smite an Ivern, like some other champs might have access to. So, the Baron is going to go Wizards of the Coast's way. I mean, water is just so squishy in this game. I swear he gets hit by 1 thing and he just explodes. And it's like, it's like Burn Hui. And like Hui does die there, but like, how much HP does he have? He only has 484 AP, and I swear he's like literally exploding. Like, I know he doesn't extra stun it and he doesn't have magic resistance. Like, oh, it's 44. Never mind. I'll shut up. 8 carries Duncan pulling your role is weak. Build MR. See, Mac understands. Mac's building what's it called? And Panda, you know, trades 1 for 1 for a more valuable member. So I'm not gonna say that's bad. Instrument is gonna go forward and is going to do quite a lot of work, but it's just rooted for too long between the Root Collar, and the Chains of Corruption. Flash Smite, classic, is not going to work this time though. And Galio's in top lane. And it is Galio, Taric, and Maokai versus the world. What can they do? Not a lot of damage between the 3 of them. It's honestly mostly Maokai is going to get pulled by the Never Move. Is going to be really, really low. Is going to need to heal and base. Water is up and at him, ready to go. Needs to jump in. Is going to get the Cosmic Radiance here. The Buster Shot is still on cooldown. Needs to get autos down to actually melt through these targets. Another bomb is out. Not going to be able to auto pray to actually proc that. Panda is getting eerily close. The Root Collar is going to keep water in place. Instrument is going as balls to the wall as they can. It's just not getting the assistance they need. It's just too little too late. Not enough damage. And a kind of like 1 and 2 half threat composition, right? Star's just too far behind to really make be a threat as a damage dealer. Instrument doing as best they can, but I think it's just between the shields and the healing overall, it's just too hard for Instrument to really have a true effect. I will say Camille is 1-2 so far, but she has appeared in 3 of 4 games, which I think is very interesting in the grand scheme of things. And with that being said, we can look now at the overall standings for Water Invitational thus far. And I would like to bring your attention to our first place team currently, our only team that played 2 games and won them both, FCP. Right, Cancun on 3 did not play today. Not a good start to the tournament, right? Especially they played Sunbear Squad and they also played Tideweavers, right? Tideweavers, most people expect to be in middle of the pack, and Sunbear Squad, you probably expect to be upper middle of the pack. So thankfully they didn't forfeit a game to probably Herberus or Stroh's Edators, who you expect kind of to be their main competition if you're of the opinion that they're going to be towards the bottom. So hopefully they show up next week in the match. Jury is still out if they will. They only play 1 game next week. By next week, I mean in our next match day, which is the 10th of January, which is the day after I'm recording this. Hopefully I get some predictions out, and it will not be nearly as long as a video as this one will be. I don't know how long it's going to be because there's going to be a very decent sized chunk cut out, but my recording currently says 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I hate that for me and for you watching. And if you've stuck around this long, that means you care a little too much about Water Invitational like I do. And that's appreciated. I'm glad to see that there's people who care a little too much about Water Invitational, just like me. Especially because I don't get to participate in it. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction to these games. I hope that you guys... I wish everybody the best of luck. And see you guys in the next video. Yippee!